You know, I always have an issue when it comes to the lack of Western MMOs out on the market today, and I'm often forced to play a Korean or Japanese MMO until someone puts up another half-assed attempt at making one. I just don't like the so-called grindfest, and that is entirely a personal opinion, but one stands out among the masses, and it's one that you're really not allowed to play. It was always intended to come to the West, but Sega decided that it was doing well without us and told the Western public to go away. I don't know if that's true, but that's certainly how they made me feel. But us being us, and us as in the US, we found many workarounds to get in and are enjoying a masterpiece of its own right. This is Phantasy Star Online 2. Now, it's no news when it comes to PSO2, that is unless you've been living under a rock, or you just have no care for the Eastern MMOs, which makes me question why you're still watching this video. But please don't leave. Its initial launch started back in 2012, and my first impressions of PSO2 back then was a whole new world of floating in space, landing on various planets, tackling big bosses with cool-ass weapons with my friends beside me. This game was amazing, but how does it hold up in 2019? Sega has been periodically updating the game, and always adding in new content, which is always nice. They've gone a step further and added in new classes as well, in the addition of improving weapon rarity further. The combat is just as fun and exciting as I remembered, and the nostalgia of map farming made me feel right at home. The new chapters also added in a new questline into the game known as Busters. In Busters, you'll be taking down a castle with your own two hands, but this castle is also a boss. It moves, shoots beams of death, and crushes you if you're not too careful. Doing this alone is a very difficult task, which I ended up doing a couple times, but doing it with a team is loads of fun. And of course they're going to add in more extreme mode missions, which makes things a lot harder to tackle, but the rewards are very beneficial. Plus, you know you'll be getting your daily fix of the Dark Falls missions, which is literal addiction every hour on the hour. So what are the main components that make PSO2 so good? And yes, from now on I'll be using the abbreviation since saying the game's name takes way too damn long and I got a lot of shit to cover in this video. To start off, its unique nature of adding in a Monster Hunter-like aspect, mixing in with a metric ton of storyline, weapons, fashion, daily events, in-game dungeons, and so much more, it'll take you a whole hell of a lot of time to conquer it all, and you'll almost forget that you're actually grinding a lot of the time. The combat system is fairly entertaining, but you'll be killing a lot of the same enemies from time to time. The good news is, there's so many storyline chapters that have been added into the game since its initial launch, it takes some of the load of grinding off the player's shoulders, not to mention those sick-ass boss fights. When you've gone through the painstakingly difficult task of getting an account, downloading the game via torrent or PSO tweaker, and launching the game for the first time, it's as if you're taking a piece of forbidden fruit and savoring every moment of it. Over the years, I will say, the game has aged a bit, but it hasn't taken away from the overall excitement and character development of the game. You don't need 4K graphics with a fucking Frostbite engine pumping in dazzling lights and shadows in order to have a good game. It's everything it said it would be, and better. It's done a fantastic job over the years. One of my favorite functions of the game is having a subclass. I don't know why, but when a game decides that you should meld two classes together, it instantly sucks me in. Taking your favorite class and having another passive tree that can push your damage to the next level is incredibly fun, and having a large number of combinations are always a plus in my book. If you're new to PSO2 and have never played, the game is also widely known for its fashion. I'm not kidding you. Some of the costume pieces are the same, if not more expensive, than in-game gear on the shops. The fanbase take it very seriously, seeing as you're in an anime world full of anime-like AI. Overall, I can say that PSO2 is still an enjoyable experience and should continue that way as long as their fans are supporting the team. But of course, an MMO can't be an MMO if it didn't have faults. The biggest issue with PSO2, and this applies especially to new players, is its learning curve. It's up there with bomb defusal and brain surgery, and I'm not even kidding. In order to power up your class, you'll need to learn about your class's passive tree. Many things are useful, as some are not worth taking. This is a common trap for many new players who are careless about placing points in random locations in their passive tree and only can be undone by using real currency or getting lucky like I have been in the past and waited for yearly events that reward you with a passive reallocation pass. Another trap for new players that you will eventually run into is your mag. A mag is a floating device that joins you in combat, sometimes attacking enemies or supporting you by healing you in bad situations or buffing you to better progress in boss fights. They also have a special ability that can be activated to do greater amounts of damage or support you depending on how you build them. This is where the trouble comes into the equation. Mags will need you to feed them gear or weapons, and doing so will level them up. Depending on what item you give them, this will level up the stat for your mag and also give you a portion of the stat as well. What you want to avoid is feeding your mag various types of items that will result in stats that you don't need or some that don't even benefit you whatsoever. If you find yourself feeding your mag various types of items that don't make any sense and you end up screwing up, this will also cost a lot of currency or waiting for a special event to undo your mistakes. Moving on to photon arts, or your special attacks that your class uses, are much different than most MMOs. In your generic MMO, you're given new abilities as you level and progress. In PSO2, you'll need to find them or buy them, upgrade them, and use them correctly in order to do the utmost damage with your class. There's a huge variety of photon arts in PSO2, so knowing which one is the correct one to use or one that actually benefits you could take time and actually cost you a lot of currency. Another issue is having a lot of things tossed at you right off the start, so you'll be relying on your best friend Google to help you figure out the majority of these issues. Matter of fact, you'll be spending a portion of your time on Google just understanding some of the basic functions of the game. Now, to be fair, this game was intended for Japanese eyes only, so I can honestly understand it being challenging throughout the game and knowing where to go and what to do. I will tell you there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Things will start making sense, and you will begin to figure out how to get challenges done and progress your character quickly through all the content. In PSO2, the game is free to play, but with some restrictions. If you're not a premium member or subscriber, you won't be able to sell things on the player's market or auction house. You can buy things, however, but if you're looking to continue the game fully free, you'll have to get lucky and find a 3-day market pass and load just as much as you can within those 3 days. You'll also have less storage space in your bank than those who are members, and you'll only be able to accept 20 quests at one time. So does this hinder the player enough to make the game unplayable if they choose to play for free? Of course not. I have never once spent a single dollar on this game, and have progressed just fine. You'll have to wait for opportunities to be available to use certain membership functions, but it's entirely doable. If you were expecting a true MMO experience, then you'll look no further. PSO2 gives you the entire plateful, plus some extra on the side. You'll be questing and doing countless extra missions, but there's never really any downtime, and that just makes me want to play it more. There's a uniqueness lying in the depths of the game that I just can't put my finger on. Its appeal is like no other, and it seems like in a time full of dying MMOs on the market, it stands strong and holds itself high among the rest. I've played just about every MMO from Berlin to Bangkok, and there's a thirst for decency that only PSO2 has been able to quench recently. Maybe it's because of its natural nature is what draws me in. Maybe because of its forbidden status in the US that brings out the rebel from within and forces me to play. All I know is, it's been overlooked by many, but I think it's time for you to take the chance and really appreciate just what it is. In fact, I think if you give just an hour of your day, you'd come to a puzzling conclusion just like me. It's been a long time coming for PSO2, but I think it's lived up to its own status. There's a huge population of English and Japanese players. In the first few chapters of the game, you'll find yourself alone the majority of the time, but in the later chapters and daily events, you'll always find a team of people to group up with and go boss killing hand in hand. I can definitely see a wide portion of the anime community really enjoying this title. Even if you're not, I think this amazing combat and boss battles will keep your interest piqued. Trust me, I can't even tell you the last time I sat down and watched this stuff, nor remember what I was watching to begin with. All I know is, Japanese dub is so much better. Thanks for watching, guys, and I want to give a shout out to the guys over at PSO Tweaker. They have definitely taken most of the torture out of trying to get the game in the first place, and they even update the English patcher of the game within the launcher, which makes things so much easier. If you're interested in playing PSO2, head on over to their website. I'll put the link down below, and just pop into their Discord and give them some love. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Like and subscribe, guys, if you want to stay up to date with more videos in the future. I'll see you guys next time.